All right. Shut up! I'm gonna go ahead and add city and region real quick to our screen so we get to see what those look like, and then we're gonna try to add Yelp to our app. Sound like fun?
Yeah. Let's do this.
Okay, what am I doing? Oh, I want to add city and region. This guy? Yeah, so I'll add another text view here. Right here. And we'll make the code a little bit bigger. That's good. And we're going to call this guy, again, the L key. Location TV. Do something like that. And then I'll set, let's leave it just as left justify, whatever, I'll center it. Center, okay, so I need to hook this guy up and then we'll set the city and region in there for that so we have a way of kind of visualizing where these things are. And then we're going to try to make like a clickable button on here that says, you know, like Yelp or something. We'll figure that out in a second. Okay, I need to go back over here to this guy. And we'll say string location is equal to this dot the tree dot payload dot city concatenated with a comma concatenated with this dot the tree dot payload dot region. And then I need to give myself access to the what I call it, location TV. I don't know if that's what I called it, but we'll find out in a second. This dot location is equal to this dot find view ID r dot ID dot location TV. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so that will have that. Let's make sure that looks. That's fine. Let's diet.
You're on the no calorie or
It is. This is Pepsi's Coke Zero. This is Pepsi 0 calorie, 0 sugar.
Zero.
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, okay.
It's their competitor with Coke Zero. All right, so then I'll go in here. Let's make sure this guy looks okay. Click Baraka. Didn't I? Oh, no, I did hook it up. I didn't hook it up. I set the string. This dot location TV dot set text equal to location. So are they all hyphens like that? Even that top one was a hyphen? Yeah. So I'll say dot split on that bucket 1. That should give me just the city crap, whatever. All right, good. So I went to Yelp.com developers. Here, I'll just start that. And then I went to come build with us using our REST API to help connect consumers and great local businesses. So I went to Yelp Fusion. All right, so I'll give you a link to this in Slack. What's this? All right, so I'll click get started. It had me log in the first time, so I logged in with my Google account. So we have our app name, so we're going to call this guy Travel Hack. And we don't have a website. Pick an industry. We are in the beauty industry. Travel industry. Contact email. I'll put my email. I mean, you can if you want to. You're going to be connecting your app to this eventually. Oh, you made me mess up. Yeah. At least I'm assuming that's the case. I've never hooked up Yelp before. So we will see. I have read and accept the blah, blah, blah. I'm not a robot. Create new app. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so it gives me this client ID and then my API key. So I'm going to need that for some stuff. Where is my... All right, I'm going to leave this page up. I'm going to come here. I'm going to say Yelp Fusion Android. GitHub simplifies the process of authentication, request construction, and responding parsing for Android developers using Yelp API version 3. Here's actual Yelps. Okay, so they have an official iOS version. It's very nice of them. They're not fans of but that's okay. So we're going to do this ourselves. This is actually good because, I mean, when we talk about APIs, so we have something called a REST API. So if I go open to my notes here, this is a good thing. So a REST API. This is a API built in terms of HTTP. So that means it uses GET to retrieve data, POST to post new data, PUT to update existing data, and delete to delete existing data. So any API that exists today is built at its core as a REST API. Then some companies, so like Yelp, looks like they built a iOS API on top of their REST API. Well, iOS API is the wrong term. They built an iOS library that knows how to conveniently talk to their REST API. It says the right stuff, the right HTTP things to speak to it. All right. And let me show you an interesting site here so we can explore this a little bit. There's a site called Postman. All right, so we'll just say get started on, there's actually a Mac app for Postman. I have it on here. So Postman allows you to explore API calls, REST API calls, without writing code initially. Download native app. Great. All right, so well, that guy is he's done. He's done cooking.
I use this in my job. It's a super slick application.
So this allows us to make the correct HTTP calls to test endpoints before we write the code to do the same thing. So we make sure we're asking the right questions before we know what data we're getting. All right. Wouldn't it just let me use the website? Like it seems like that should be like okay.
Can you get extensions for Chrome?
Probably.
That's what it is. It's an extension. I just did it.
The app's pretty cool because it'll like save the history of all the stuff you do, save the history of like your different attempts, like buckets of different things.
All right, so authorization. Go back here. Here's my API key. Do they tell us what auth they use? Is it OAuth? I'm just going to go to their developer documentation here. All right, let's look at business endpoints. Oh, that's if you actually have the business. Okay, so like I mentioned, if you want to get information, you're making a GET request. And here's the endpoint, api.yelp.com, v3 categories / alias, where the alias is one of these category lists. They give us this thing called a category. So we can give it various category lists. Restaurants is probably the one we're gonna just nudist. It's actually a category list by itself. Perfect. All right. Dance restaurants. There's restaurants. Probably what we want to start with, and you can go further in there, but just restaurants in an area, but we want to be able to specify location. So if I do a get on this guy, for example, so if I just go to this website, I mean, because when you're in a web browser, this is a GET request. So restaurants like that.
Oh, it wants you to have your key. It's an HTTP header.
Yeah, but so that's actually doing a post request?
You can send HTTP headers in a GET request.
Not from the command line like that.
Oh, sure.
So we'll have to go back to their documentation. So you see here, we did make the request. It tried to go to the API Yelp.com v3 categories restaurants, and then it said, you're not authorized to make these requests. We are authorized, we're just not giving it the correct authorization. We're authorized right here. We have our client ID and our API key. We just need to figure out what type of authentication they're using so that we can provide that information to them appropriately. Let's go to introduction here first. We'll actually have a thing to run in. Here's our authentication guide. So what headers do they want?
Right up above.
Yeah, it's OAuth. So authorization, that is weird, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you would go into Postman into requests.
Yeah. This is just a weird string.
Yeah, and then bearer, and then whatever that long.
Yeah, I get it.
Nice and simple.
Well, no, just I haven't seen that word.
Oh, bearer before. Yeah,
So,
it's not. They say OAuth, but it doesn't look like OAuth.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
So.
All right, so where's my Postman? So we'll put an API key. The key is.
Authorization, I think.
Yeah, I think authorization. I think it's just authorization. Let's go back and look at it real quick. Put the API key in the request header as.
Postman parses it out, but once the complete string should look like that, like in the request.
So I'm thinking authorization, and then the value is bearer, followed by our key.
That's what I think, yeah.
So I think it's authorization colon or just authorization?
I think it's just authorization, because like if you were to look in like the network tab of Chrome, it would put the colon in all by itself.
Yeah.
Just for a key value pair.
And then for our key, that's our key. Okay, and then we'll test this endpoint. I'll put that URL request there. And we'll hit send. Not in developer beta. This endpoint requires you to be in our developer
So you
beta.
authorized successfully. Oh yeah, you gotta go into the console and like do an app creation like the Firebase.
I did the app creation.
Oh, you did? Okay.
That's what this thing was all about. So now do I have to opt into
The beta, yes, that button.
join the developer beta? They couldn't have just done that.
That's there's like a weird reason that has to be that way.
Yeah, let's try this again. Was it just restaurant? Restaurant? Am I spelling it right? I think I'm spelling it right. Maybe it was a subcategory of restaurants. Maybe it was like restaurants dash all. And I gave up on it.
Yeah, I think it was.
Restaurant slash and then some other stuff.
Category endpoints. Oh, like it looks like it's.
It was restaurants, comma, all.
It's all lowercase restaurants. So I believe. All right, so that's the alias. That's okay, so I got the category. Didn't give me any real data from it, but we're making successful requests now. All right. But I want to make a request with location. Okay, so this is a business search.
That'll look, yeah, location. And locale.
Indicates the geographic location, New York City. Okay, so it looks like I can give it a location here. But in my search, so I need to provide it with possible parameters, but these parameters come in as JSON, more than likely. That's an example of response body. All right, so we're going to use this endpoint here. And then we're going to add some parameters to it. All right, so I'm doing a search. We're going to add some parameters. My parameters are going to be, we'll do location. And let's do Milwaukee, Wisconsin, just as a sample. All right, and then I want to see the list of sporting, so categories. Is it just a string? Does it want to comma delimited, but I can do, we'll just do categories. Restaurants. Right? Right, just leave it at that. It's good enough. So, this is showing me the okay, yep, here we're getting real data. So showing me Blue's Egg and stuff like that. All right, so this is getting me a JSON. Blue's Egg is good. Overpriced Mad Rooster Cafes. The Blue's the better version of Blue's Egg. Mad Rooster, right by Miller Park. Okay.
Do rating?
Huh?
Rating?
That probably gives us stuff.
All kinds of good stuff.
Well, no, I mean like, can it also be rating and the value? You say like rating and value is 5, so only search for the good ones. So
Oh, probably. Yeah, we can do that. I just want to get it enough working so we can do something. Let's do Android REST API because we need to build our. I don't want to use your. I don't want to use your built-in crap. That doesn't look like it's the right thing. I mean, it's going to be pretty similar to what we've done before. We just have to set that header stuff. Screw it. Let's do it. All right, so I'm going to go into our network dealy flippy because I need to set headers. So I'm going to go into Java, and somewhere in here I have one of my network. It's my network thread. This is the guy we did it. Yeah, this guy. So I'm going to create a new version of this. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to create a new package. We'll call this guy Yelp. And then inside here, we're going to create a new Java class. And we're going to call this guy Yelp API. Actually, well, whatever. Let me just get the first part of this. Okay, and my URL, I'll just go ahead and I'm going to hard code the parameters in there for time, if that is cool with you. And then I'll have you fix it. Call it good enough. And this guy has to be inside of a try catch. So we're going to have to add our header. All right, so now we have our, I can't open the connection yet. Java HTTP header. A set header. Setting request headers. Set request property. Set request property, and our request property is back under authentication or authorization. And then the value is going to be this crazy guy. Okay. Enough. Okay, then we can use our scanner. Just like we did before. And we'll do a system.out.println. Put a big data there. Okay. They're dropping like flies. All right, so I'll go ahead and run this guy from our main thread just so we can see the output here and see what we end up getting. We should get some JSON stuff. There's main activity. So we're going to create a Yelp. Oh my gosh. Yelp API. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and run this. Yep, here's our stuff, blues egg, blah, blah, blah. So we're correctly making the REST call. All right, so now let me quickly give you a JSON parser and then give you the possible homework. All right, so we effectively have something that looks like this now. We have a bunch of JSON that's come in. Right, this is the JSON, this is data. All right, and we want to parse that, and we're going to import org JSON array and org JSON object. So we have access to both of those. We're going to need arrays because we do have an array right here. In fact, the JSON object we get, this is a JSON object, this is a JSON array. The value for our JSON object is an array. All right, so I'm going to show you how we can parse that. So I'll go into Yelp API. There, I'll just let it in. Well, I'll import it just in case it tries to import it from a different place. All right. Just unused, that's why it's screaming. Okay. So I'll go ahead and create my JSON object from this dude. And my thing is called data. That's where my JSON is stored. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll just prove that we're able to create a JSON object here. I'll go ahead and get businesses. Oh. And then we're going to get actually, I'm getting a JSON array at the top level, and its name is businesses. Okay. And this is going to come out as a JSON array. Okay. And then I'll say for JSON object, job in businesses. Oh, could it not to? Oh, that's funny. I can't do a for each on a JSON array. That's fine. How do they want me to traverse a JSON array? Just a length, normal for loop. I equals 0, I is less than businesses dot length, I plus plus. Each time through, we'll say, was it accessible just like a normal array? Get JSON object. So we'll say string, and we're going to get the, we'll just get the name of the place. String name is equal to businesses dot get at bucket I, and that's going to be a JSON object. And then we're going to ask that guy for a string. Okay, it's not just get. Get gets me a generic thing. So get JSON object bucket I dot get. It'll just be get string name. All right, like that. So we read in all our JSON, proved we got some JSON, built a JSON object around that, knew that the businesses variable of it, this guy right here's value is a JSON array. That is a collection of JSON objects. Okay, so I go through every element of my array, which is going to be a whole bunch of JSON objects. Right here I'm saying get me the JSON object at bucket I, and then just for testing purposes, go ahead and get me his name. That should get me things like Blues Egg Milwaukee. And then the next one should be whatever it is farther down. Odd duck, so on and so forth. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this. Okay. So there is our Blues Egg, Odd Duck, Story Hill, blah, 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 blah. All right, so we have a pretty good start on hitting the API, grabbing the JSON, parsing the JSON, getting some data. Okay, so now let's take a closer look.
Dependencies in the Gradle that you'll commit.
Who what?
The dependencies in the Gradle or whatever it is for the library.
There's no special library.
Oh, there isn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're just because they didn't give us a special library for talking to Yelp API.
I meant for JSON, the JSON deserialization that you're doing.
Oh, it's org.json.
Okay.
Just 2 imports.
Okay.
Yeah, it's built into Java.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So let's see. What do we want to have here? We're gonna want to have a let's write it out here. So we'll say homework. Add a button on the binary tree traversal page that does a Yelp search for restaurants in the city where the currently displayed airport is located. Show a new screen with a list view of restaurant names that are clickable, which take you to a detail screen showing name. Let's see what other data we have. URL. Well, that'll actually be fun. Yes. Image must display the image. Actually, you know what? Most are going to end up doing it, but name URL.
There's the rating.
Yeah, so rating, review count. And address. Address. Phone. Okay. Then, if you are not going to Thursday hackathon, everybody knows about that, right? The 3-hour thing here on campus. Show the image on the screen. It's not hard. It's another, you're doing a URL request. Here's the image URL. So you'll just do a search for fill image view with a image from a website. It's not a crazy thing, just one little extra thing you got to do. I mean, it might take an hour or something, but it's not like nuts. You have a URL to an actual image. If I copy that, it'll take me right to there's the image. So you're just asking it to download the image data from a website and display it in an image view. And then the last piece, can I go back? Okay, then the last piece is have a button that shows a new screen with the URL loaded on it. So you can launch Chrome from within an Android application. Android dev launch website. How can I open a URL in Android's web browser for my application? Also, not a huge deal. Make sense? So just two little things that we didn't cover in class that you'll have to go and research a little bit on your own to cover the 3-hour hackathon thing. You might.
I'm at the hackathon.
Yeah. You might find that those things take less than 20 minutes each to do, or 20 minutes total actually to do. You'll find pretty clean examples where you'll just drop your URLs in instead. Okay, questions about what I'm asking you to do? So I don't forget, let me commit my code here.
You've got the sanitation code in there still?
It's commented out now.
Okay.
Just confirm that, but I'm pretty positive I commented it out. Here's my list. Yeah, commented out there, commented out here, so it's okay. So there, so good stuff today, right? Yelp. Oh my God. Starting point. And just think about the power of what we just did. We are specifically talking to Yelp's RESTful API. But this code we wrote, you can use it to talk to anybody's RESTful API. Google Maps, just the endpoints are different. Instead of it being /categories/restaurants, it's /directions/whatever Google advertises their endpoints as being. All right. Questions, comments, concerns, bribes. If you are going to the hackathon and you have not signed up for it, there is a link up there now. So originally I had people just replying in that one thing, but there's also a website to go to click on it. That way the Commons brings like enough food and prizes and things like that. So if you have not gone to that website to sign up, do that. And it's here on campus from 3 to 6 p.m. on Thursday. Yeah, so I would encourage you to take advantage of it. You'll learn some stuff, have some good networking opportunities, that kind of stuff. All right, I will see everybody next Tuesday.